So we popped off our water pump, just the 4 Phillips head. 2 longer ones go on the outside here because they're part of your clutch cover, and then 2 smaller ones in here. We had to use a screwdriver to slightly pry up because of the alignment pins. As you can see here, we have some oil buildup inside of our pump housing. So what that means there's a seal on the backside of this impeller that's bad. So I'm not sure. I'm going to grab looks like a 10. Grab a 10 and I'm going to pull this impeller. Well, we're going to try and take the cover off first. See if the impeller comes with everything or we have to take it off individually. So we popped all of our Phillips bolts out. They're actually all the same size besides these 2 right here, the long ones. So Suzuki made that pretty nice. We're going to pop this cover off. We have it up a little bit, but I need 2 hands, so I can't film this. So we're going to pop the cover off, set it off to the side, and we'll start tearing down the clutch side of the engine. So we popped our cover off, as you can see. Sorry, I got the camera plugged in right now, so that's why the camera's a little weird. Got the cover popped off, set it off to the side here. We do have a new gasket for here. We're going to take all this apart as well, because I believe there's a seal. Hopefully we have one. So this is the internals. Here you have your Kickstarter shaft, obviously your spring. Shift selector here goes to a shift drum, which is inside. Clutch basket, this is your clutch. This is a pull style clutch. Some are push. This is a pull style. The clutch arm is right here. As you can see, there's teeth on the inside. So when you pull the clutch, you actually have to spin this so it actually rolls up this adjuster here. So we're going to start taking this down. The seal we want is under these right here, under this gear stack. So we're going to take the clutch basket off, get that out of the way, and then we can pull this gear stack up, get to our seal, put everything back together, replace our Kickstarter seal here, our clutch lever seal here, which we're going to do that last because we got to move that adjuster in and out, and whichever seal is under here. That gives us, that should be just about everything. So give us a second. We're going to get our tripod set up here and start breaking down our clutch basket. Alright, so we have our clutch basket here. They are 8mm bolts holding the springs in. Now we've covered this before in other videos. When you take a clutch basket out and you pull all the clutch material, all the discs, keep them in order, the same way they came out. So we're going to pull everything as a whole. What we're going to do is, just like that, stays in order, flip it over, and we set it on the bench. This is your pull rod. We're going to set that in the outer part of the basket. Now we're going to grab our socket, which I'm not sure on size, and I believe that is a normal right-hand thread. Now we're going to use our Tusk clutch holder now for the basket side. So impact made quick work of that. There is a washer here on the bottom that is cone shaped or star shaped, like the splines here. So that's that. Now our basket is showing some wear, so we are going to have to file our outer basket. As you can see the nice grooving right here, actually. There. Some nice grooving going on there. So we're gonna, while this is out, we're actually going to file this, clean all that nasty edges up. That'll actually prevent the clutch from actually releasing at all. There's baskets sit in that groove and they can't pop up. So we're going to grab socket. Remember this, I believe this is left-hand thread. Well, we'll find out. It is left-hand thread because the other side's right-hand. So we got our crank nut off. It is left-hand thread, sorry, not right hand. Got the nut off. There is a washer underneath. We showed this trick in another video. I think it was for our blaster. We use this crush washer for a drain plug, and we stick it between the gears. So when the engine tries to turn over, this will actually bite in. This will get deformed, obviously, but it's better than jamming a screwdriver or something down in there. Now, it's important to take note of this before you take everything apart. There are 2 timing dots on this. This is your crank balancer. This is your main drive. If you have these off, the motor will hammer real hard. It'll vibrate you to death. So we're going to pull our gears off here. We should be able to get all 3. Well, worst case, we can take 2. There are keyways here. There's a little tiny one and a larger one. So those gears only are pretty straightforward. This stuff is hard to put on incorrectly, but it's important to take note of all these timing marks before you take everything apart. So we're gonna set the camera down, pull this gear out, and we can get to that seal. So we got our gear out. The seal actually is part of the gear assembly, it looks. There is a I gotta get that spring out of there. The spring on the inside of the seal fell off. You can see the seal is a little bit damaged. So we can grab our needle nose here. Take that, set that off to the side. That is junk. So now, seal popped off. Junk as well. And we have our new one here, double lipped. Goes right back on. Then we can set up timing. So, drop this back in. The crank shouldn't have moved at all, which is nice. But the balancer does move freely, so you want to make sure you have everything lined up. Look at that. Dots are in line, so we're going to grab our next set of gears here. Place them on. They don't matter. They're just keyed. This one lines up with your clutch basket. This one lines up with your water pump. Just gonna grab. There we go. The key popped out a little bit. There we go. Oh, that was my foot. Grab the top one. This one just has a small little tiny keyway. It's on. We have our washer. It's against. And our nut, remember, right hand thread. Works opposite. I'm going to look up torque value. For that, we're going to take our clutch basket off camera, file up our edges. We'll show you guys what that looks like completed, repaired. The other thing I have to look at is our shift fork here. Popped out of place. I have to look at alignment. I'm not sure where it goes. I think it just goes straight down, but I have to double check. I'm not 100% sure. So we want to line that up before we put our clutch basket in, just so we can get everything lined up. Put our basket in. We're ready to go. All right, so we have our shifter lined up right here. The way this lines up is it's just a self-centering, so you just want to make sure the shift rod is, the teeth here are centered with the teeth on the shift drum. That's pretty much it. There's no real alignment that needs to be done. I just need to make sure it's centered before you start putting your clutch basket back in. So we popped our bearings off here for the clutch basket. They're just 2 bearing halves. They just sit right on there. We're going to grab our basket, which we filed down to repair the threads. align the basket up here and then with this gear on the Kickstarter. So that's all lined up. Now there is a washer, which I need to clean up. This washer sits right there. And then your inner clutch basket goes on. Line up with the splines. Then your washer, which does not have, some of the bikes have a little notch here in the basket which this washer sits into. This one does not, it just fits over the splines. We have our clutch basket nut. We're going to get set up with our air compressor and our impact, and then we're going to torque this nut down. So the torque on our clutch sleeve bolt is 29 to 43 foot-pounds. We just went with an easy 40 foot-pounds right in the middle. So we use our clutch holding tool by Tusk once again. There. Oops. Tool popped out, but we're at 40 foot-pounds. So it's nice and torqued. So that's done. So now we can start reinstalling our basket, or our clutch material. And remember, we pretty much just left ours. There's no parts laying here. Pretty much just left ours intact. So we're going to flip it. So we're all back together. Take our mounting bolts here. So they're all nice and clean. You have to look up the torque value for these as well. You have to be careful. These aluminum ears here break sometimes when torquing. So when you install, be careful not to over torque them because they do crack, the bolts break, so on and so forth. So there's no torque spec in our manual for our clutch basket bolts here. We just ran them snug. So we're going to take a scraper and a razor knife and just clean up our edge here. There is some old gaskets still intact. So we're going to clean that up, put a new gasket on, and then show you guys how to install the clutch cover. Alright, so we're going to work on removing the water pump. The water pump is held in, well, the gear I should say, is held in with this little circlip. We might change this out to an actual snap ring, so we can use our snap ring pliers. We just used a little screwdriver to get under that, you can see it better. There, that little opening there, pry it out and around. Careful not to bend it. Water pump gear comes off. Then you're going to take this little pin, remove that. There is a washer. It's actually two washers, three washers I should say. There's this one. There's a spring washer. And there is also a washer down there. You can see it down there around the bearing. So, flip it back over. Oh no, the washer's right here. Fell out. So you're going to flip it back over, and there will be a nut, 10 millimeter, in the top of the impeller shaft. Now what we're doing is we actually have to drive. Sometimes the impeller comes off, sometimes it doesn't. So what we are going to do is we're going to try and drive the impeller shaft out. So we're going to set the camera down, use the bolt so we don't damage the threads, and try and drive the impeller shaft out. So we use the bolt, and then we switch to our punch here just to catch the last little bit. So here's our seal on the oil pump. We're going to have to order a new one because this one is damaged. So this actually doesn't use one of the oil seals over there. This uses a special mechanical seal. So we're going to order one, get it on delivery. This housing looks pretty muffed up. I wonder what's up with that. So we're going to take a closer look, see why some things are damaged. I don't know why that's oblong like that. Maybe it's supposed to be like that. But we're going to order a new mechanical seal so we can keep the oil from getting into the coolant. So there is an oil seal. I lied. It's on the, you have to get it from the inside of the cover. So we're going to grab a screwdriver and we're going to set the camera down and we're going to work that seal out. So we got our screwdriver in there, popped out our seal. I'm going to grab our new one, just like that. Now you want to put the numbers this side into the pocket like that. I believe our mechanical seal is okay, but we are going to order another one anyway, just because there's actually a weep hole. Just trying to push this in. There's a weep hole right here, which is actually full of gunk. Grab a weep hole right here. That when your mechanical seal starts to fail, it pushes the coolant. It doesn't push, but it drips a little bit. So if your engine's starting to drip coolant, your mechanical seal is starting to go. We were going to order another one, but just for the sake of the video, we're going to reinstall everything. So now that we have our new seal in place, we are going to reinstall the impeller shaft. Got the mechanical seal. Lightly tap it back into place. It's kind of slow going, but you get the idea. You're going to slowly drive it back into place. You want to be very careful that you don't drive too hard and damage the end of the shaft. So we're going to grab our new mechanical seal, put that into place. We're going to take our impeller, and there's slots grooved onto the impeller, so the impeller can only really sit one way. So we're going to put that back on, give it a few little taps. And then there's a washer that kind of has a seal on it. They go direct, the seal goes directly against the water pump. So we're going to grab a ratchet, tighten this down. Nice and snug. So now we have this done, we're going to flip it over, focus on the inside. So you have your thin little washer right here, goes down in against the inner race of the bearing. Oops. You have your spring washer, which goes down against this larger washer. Then you have your pin that goes through the hole in the shaft. Extremely derogatory. And then you're going to take your gear. As you can see, that sets right on top of that. Boom. Then we got our snap ring. It's going to be fun to install because you can't use snap ring pliers. There we go. Make sure it's popped into place. So there we go. We got our seal replaced, both seals replaced. We're going to grab a new gasket. All right, so that ends that. So we're going to order a new water pump gasket. We're going to move on to the, we're going to wait to do this seal because you have to pull this shaft in and out, so the seal ends up popping up anyway. So we're going to leave that out until we're 100% finished. We're going to go ahead and do the kicker seal. This one's pretty simple, straightforward. Screwdriver. Oh, this thing's going to kick my ass. It's another technique. You can drive the seal in from the edge, popped out, take a rag, clean up this whole area. Now when we're done with our seal kit, we have one seal left over. We did not replace the crank balancer gear, or the crank balancer seal, not gear. The original seal is fine. There's no signs of any leaking. To replace that one, you actually have to split the case, pull the crank balancer out, and we did not split the cases, so we did not change that one. Whoever buys the engine, we will include it to them, just because you never know what comes up. So there we go. We got our new seal pushed in, seated, and good to go. So lastly, we do have the clutch seal, but we're going to wait till we have the side cover on, because you have to pull this and kind of work it around, and it just kind of pop the seal out. So we cleaned up our gasket surface. We have our clutch cover here. We're going to install. Oops. Got to make sure the rod is facing the right way. So the way you want it facing towards the Kickstarter gear, because then it'll mate up with the Kickstarter, or the shift lever. So we're going to try and pull out so we can, there we go, pop that out of place. So this just sets on here, we don't have to worry about that. There we go, we were able to line up our clutch lever with our clutch cover. These are dowel pins. Lined it up nicely, and we're going to take all of our screws again. Once again, if you remember, all these are the same length, except for the two for the water pump cover. They are long ones. We do not have a water pump cover gasket, so we are going to just leave that off for right now, but it's just 4 screws. The 2 longer ones go here on the outside. It's pretty straightforward. So we're going to grab our screwdriver, go ahead and tighten these up. There we go. She's in. So now we're going to grab our seal, last one. Pushed in there nicely. So bottom end's back together. So we're going to grab our base gasket here. Oops. So also there's another gasket that we have here, which I don't know where it went. It was sitting right here. There's a gasket underneath the reed base here. Ours is intact, so we didn't take any of this off, so we're not going to mess with it. If you're having it apart, good time to check your reeds. Make sure they're not cracked or anything. Ours are good. If you're going to replace them, that'd be a great time to do that as well. Little engine assembly lube over here. Just going to put a little coat here on the piston, so everything slides together nice and easy. So we're not going anything up. Sometimes you get a little stubborn going on, but there we go. She is on there. Now we're going to grab our base nuts, put them in, our two nuts for up here. One of our whole studs came out, but that's no big deal. Put that back in. So we got our base all torqued down. We're going to install our new head gasket here, and our water neck faced forward. Let's see here. Just like that, we have our new Cometic gasket on, so we're going to place these on and torque our head, and it gets torqued to 25 foot-pounds if I remember correct. So the initial torque for a head gasket is 11. Initially, we're going to go around in a circle here. They are numbered 1 through 6. So I'm going to torque these to 11. And then we're going to go back through and torque them to like 20 foot-pounds. So that's to 11. I'll go to 20. There we go. Head's torqued. So that's pretty much how to do the seals in your early LT250R. There was one we didn't do, which we mentioned before, which is our crank balancer. The seal's in good shape. There was no oil residue inside the stator cover, which would indicate that that was leaking. So we're gonna set up to do a leak down test. We'll include it at the end of the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Once again, it's Mike, Grinding Gears Garage. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. We'll answer the best we can. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, please subscribe. Thanks.